All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again, like every month, to think about what intelligence is about, what parts of sciences help us understand it, and what are really the mechanisms and the mathematics of AI. So this event is organized by Crosslabs, which is a research institute and a new kind of university in Kyoto in Tokyo. And we are really at the intersection between academia and the industry. So Crosslabs is meant to be really doing fundamental scientific research within the industry, and that's quite new, especially here where we are. And what our mission is to distill knowledge from different disciplines, from the mind, brain science, information science, AI, and artificial life, to bring up new technology still that can change society. And we have very exciting speakers. I hope you've been enjoying our events. And if this is your first event, this is going to be an exciting one. First, I would like to thank everyone who is organizing this. So Antoine, Katsan, everyone behind the scenes, also Stephen Oneris. And today I have the pleasure to announce our speaker. Today we'll have Professor Mizuki Oka, who is from the University of Tsukuba. She earned her PhD in engineering. We actually met around maybe 10 years ago when I was volunteering to help her in an experiment. I think I was still a student. And that was at the University of Tokyo. And there was, we had, I think, an experiment in web science. And Professor Oka is specialized in web science and artificial life, and is leading a web science study group with JSAI, so the Japanese Society for Artificial Intelligence. She's also an associate editor for the ELife journal. Got some books out. Doing very exciting research. And today she's going to present us creating a research society for artificial life in Japan, and that's a very exciting project. We'll chat more about it later. So first we'll have, as usual, our presentation. And after that, we'll have space for discussion. I will share, as usual, the Slido link in the chat. And at the end, we'll have an informal discussion. I'll invite everyone who wants to chat with us on Zoom. So yeah, stay tuned. And right now, Mizuki, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Olaf, for the introduction, and thank you for today's invitation. I'm very happy to be here and talk about my recent project. So hello, everyone. I am Mizuki Oka, and I like to talk about creating a research society for artificial life in Japan. So first, let me briefly introduce about myself. As Olaf kindly introduced, I am currently an associate professor at University of Tsukuba in Japan, and doing research on data analysis on social online systems such as social media, and also research on artificial life. So while conducting research in academia, I'm also very much interested in the social implementation of basic research outside academia. And for that, I also founded a company called Blank Space, where we collaborate with industries using our technology. So today, I also hope to discuss with Olaf about how artificial life can be applied to industrial or social issues. So today's topic is about creating a research society for artificial life in Japan. The reason why I want to create such a society is quite because we do not have such a community yet, or such a society yet in Japan. And I think it is very important for researchers and students to have a community where people can gather and discuss about the specific theme. Especially, this is
very much so when the number of researchers is small. And this is the case of a research area called artificial life. And this belief comes from my own experience as a student. When I was a PhD and system software, and this community is also quite small in Japan. And there, every year, an overnight camp is organized at a hot spring resort. And there, about 100 researchers and students from all over the country gathered and spent several days presenting each other's research, discussing, and most importantly, drinking. And one of the reasons why I decided to pursue a career as a researcher is because I saw these happy people there, and I wanted to belong to this community myself as well and become one of them. So, talking about the Society for Artificial Life for Researchers, of course, internationally, there is a research community called ISAL, which stands for the International Society for Artificial Life. And ISAL hosts or organizes an international conference that's held annually. And they also hold, edit and publish a journal of artificial life. And also they award prizes. So I think Olaf is one of the board members of ISAL. So if I'm missing out on any other activities, Olaf can provide those information.
Sure, I'll jump in.
Sorry, I think I'm not hearing the sound. Sorry, let me. Yeah, is this good? Yeah.
Good, yeah.
And so about this new Society for Artificial Life in Japan, it's so we have created this community this month. So it's only started. And it is organized as a part of the Japanese Society for Artificial Intelligence. So it's one of the special interest group of under JSI, Japanese Society for Artificial Intelligence. And the purpose here is to provide a forum for active information sharing and discussion among researchers in various fields, such as informatics, physics, biology, chemistry, and social sciences, with the aim of promoting and developing artificial life research in Japan. As I mentioned before, this community, as some of you may have heard about this artificial life for the first time today, compared to AI, it's relatively unknown and it's still a small community in Japan. So it's very important to promote the research and as well to recruit, especially young researchers and students. So similar to ISAL, we aim to organize ELife workshops where everyone with a research result can present and have very active discussion. And hopefully in the future, we would like to also organize conferences and doing outreach activities for the ELife. And for the members, we have almost all the researchers who are dealing with artificial life research. And here are their names. I am the chief investigator, and the executives include Professor Hashimoto from Aichi University, Professor Aranya from University of Tsukuba, and Olaf, who is presenting here today, is also one of the executives. And for the members, we have names like Takashi Kegami from University of Tokyo, or Lana Sinapayan from Sony CS. I think she also talked here at the Crosslab, and all the other ELife researchers. And I think if I'm missing out on any ELife researchers, please contact me and we can, I hope to have more people participating to this activity. Right. So far I've been talking about artificial life, and I think many of you may have heard the term artificial life for the first time today. So let me briefly introduce about what is artificial life. So a lot of people, of course, know about artificial intelligence. So let me compare or introduce ELife in comparison with AI. Artificial intelligence is an abbreviation for AI, right? And artificial life also, ELife, artificial life, we also abbreviate as ELife. So just as AI tries to understand the essence of intelligence by constructing an artificial intelligence system from scratch with often the help of computer, ELife tries to understand the essence of life by constructing a living system from scratch. So ELife can be considered as a field for constructive science about the basic principles of life. And mainly there are 4 ELife methodologies. And the one is using softwares, which is called soft ELife. The other one is using physical machines such as robots, that's called hard ELife. And the third one is using chemistry and genetic engineering. And the last one is art. This is probably an area which is getting more attention in the last few years. And in Japan, one of the researchers doing ELife art is Takashi Ikegami from University of Tsukuba. And he and his colleagues have created a sound work using an android, which is to conduct an opera. So here the android is becoming a conductor, which is actually there's a fascinating video out there on YouTube. So please search for Alter 3 and you can watch what it can achieve. And we recently have art sections or sometimes even art contest at the ELife International conferences. And so please check them out if you're interested in especially art. So with these 4 approaches, we aim to replace DNA and cells with other things, so software, hardware, wetware, and create a state of life equivalent to that of organisms made of DNAs and cells. So that's the basic overview concept of artificial life. So it looks, how is it even possible? And actually we can do this, or we approach this by creating a dynamical system or model that mimics the characteristics or properties of life in different ways, rather than dealing with this very abstract concept of life as it is. So, for example, characteristics of life can be decomposed into concepts such as listed here in this diagram. So, for example, an organism self-organizes and forms a structure and sometimes metabolizes and reconstructs itself by exchanging materials with the surrounding environment. It then adapts to this environment by responding to stimuli, reproducing, and passing on the information to its offsprings and so on. And artificial life researchers often propose a model to mimic one of these life characteristics and observe their behaviors to understand their mechanisms or some interesting emergent phenomena. And you may be wondering, what are the applications of this approach? And actually, there are widely used applications that came out of ELife studies. And here are some examples. And the most probably the famous one is the genetic algorithm, which is called GA. And GA is an algorithm designed to mimic the evolutionary mechanism of living organisms. And for example, series N700 Shinkansen their design came out of these GA genetic algorithms. Or an algorithm is also used to create Roomba is coming out from ELife research. And this algorithm is devised from the movements of insects that hierarchically builds up a large number of very simple behaviors to achieve complex intelligent behaviors. Or another one is a Boyd algorithm, which mimics the movement of flock of birds or fishes. Right, so these are applications of some of the old ELife technologies. And more recent one is doing research is conducted on fusion of ELife and AI. And one of such example is this simulation of biological regenerations. I'm not sure if the movie is playing. In the morphogenesis process of living organisms is mimicked by using the mechanisms of self-organization, where cells communicate information with surrounding cells only, but then it can determine which parts of the body to build and how to build these organs, which is actually quite fascinating. And another one is a self-classification of images. So this is also quite an interesting demonstration. So here, cells in organisms use only local communications to make global decisions. So this function is applied to classify which number is which by simple communication between local cells, so with only the neighboring cells. If the shape of the number, so because it is communicating only locally, even the shape of the number changes during the process, the prediction can be quickly modified. So I myself was originally in the field that had actually nothing to do with ELife studies. And as I was even a member, like I said in my previous talk, I was even a member of a computer science operating systems lab. And in the field of computer science, the goal is almost always to automate or to improve the efficiency of the work. And for me, it was quite an eye-opening experience to have the perspective of looking at issues from the life eyes. So that only happened thanks to the contact with ELife research community. And through this, currently I am doing research on how to explain and understand the complex phenomena of online social ecosystem by analogy of lives. Sorry, somebody called me. And my interest is how I can share the fun of ELife with other people who are outside of academia or people who are outside of ELife research. And from this, I thought about the points, what advantages there would be in learning about ELife, and summarize them to these 3 points. And I'd love to talk about these 3 points, as well as possible applications of ELife technologies. So one of the advantage or the merits of learning ELife is we can, by learning ELife, we can learn how to convert an abstract problem into a concrete one. So this is maybe related to conceptual thinking. This is because life is a very, very abstract concept, or the area I'm studying is social media, which is actually a very complex and abstract system. But by looking these into characteristics of life, we can actually break them into the issues that we can actually deal with. And the second point is related to creative thinking. Through the concepts of ELife, we can find common ground even between different phenomena. For example, I'm trying to find the common ground, common concept that could exist both in life and social ecosystems. This actually can give you a unique perspective, which actually could also lead to the creation of innovation. And the third one is related to the critical thinking. Artificial life, aim of the artificial life is to actually provide alternative approach. And to provide alternative approach, we have to first deny the existing one. And I think ELife has this always provides provoking ideas in any field. Can I just mute for a moment?
Of course, yeah.
Sorry for the disruption. Yeah, so this is about my presentation is. Thank you for listening to the presentation.
Good, thank you. Let me switch back. All right. Yeah, I think thank you for a very nice, very dense summary of many things. So I have personally many questions, but I see also a few questions. One thing maybe people wonder about is what brought you there? What brought you to ELife from your engineering life? And yeah, maybe that could be an example for others.
So like I mentioned, so one of the purpose of doing computer science is usually to automate or to increase the accuracy of some tasks, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, those tasks are very important. I was a little bit frustrated about these goals. Why do I always have to aim these goals and compare different results and try to increase, I don't know, 0.1% of accuracy? Because mm-hmm. that's the kind of research world I was in. I really wanted to go outside of that. And mm-hmm. there I met Artificial Life, which really gave me totally different perspective.
Yeah, I guess the ELife, although we find some of that in engineering and other fields, I guess ELife focuses on this layer of abstraction and extracting a representation to understand really the basic mechanisms bottom up. Whereas in engineering, you might focus a lot because of the nature of how the field is being rewarded. You're being rewarded for very very minute details, and in ELife we focus perhaps a bit more because of the nature of what we do on the I guess on the abstraction and the understanding. Would you say that is right?
Yeah, I think so, totally. And mm-hmm. I think it's maybe actually a big difference between engineering and science itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Science is about trying to understand the phenomena, and engineering is about creating something that actually works. And sometimes why it works doesn't necessarily have to be answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And perhaps this kind of large picture or bottom up kind of strategy can also work better for at least some families of some classes of problems in engineering as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that would be very interesting. Let's maybe have a look. I have more questions, but I want to take a few from what people asked on Slido. So I posted a link in case you are joining us now. You can still ask your questions about this Japanese Society for Artificial Life. So let's see. The first question, the most voted question right now is by Kai. Hi, Kai. When making a society in Japan, how do you balance Japanese versus English language for communication, events, etc.? Very good question.
Thank you for the question. And that's actually a very important question. And that's also a struggle to have anything in Japan, the language problem. And of course, as a researcher, it should stay as an international community. But the reality is some students or some researchers do not really speak or comprehend it on the fly. And sometimes it's just necessary to have the main language as Japanese as a main language. And as its main focus here is to promote or to recruit younger students into the ELife communities, I think we would ask encourage people to participate in any language they are comfortable with, and we'll do our best to provide for non-Japanese speakers. And I think there should be some ways, especially these days things happen online. You can provide, for example, summaries of the contents on the chat on the fly or something like that. But it's not like we would only have to have these events in Japanese. And actually, one of the, as you could see in the members, the executives have 50% of the people are non-Japanese. Professor Klaus and Olaf, for example. And of course, Olaf, I know he can actually understand Japanese very well. So we do communicate in both languages.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to language switch. Maybe we repeat some of the stuff that is key, and that's what we've seen here working really in the labs. If Japanese labs stick to Japanese, and we've seen that in other countries too, right? That's a general problem. You might have a distance with the latest literature. Of course, it's important now. The lingua franca is English, and although we should allow for both, it's important to also educate and yeah, if we want the next generation to get into the field, artificial life and AI and more. I think it's important early on to habituate ourselves to speak this language. Actually, it's not only Japanese and English, it's also speaking the language of science, don't you think? So very important question. So that's a challenge. We'll try definitely to work on that in this new society. All right, Thanks, Kai. We have a next one, which is, when did research in artificial life start in Japan, and how many labs and researchers, including PhD students, can we estimate today? Oof. Very good question. Well, what do you think?
I hope to say maybe if we gather all the people who are doing research related to ELife, I hope we achieve maybe about 100. Or maybe less. We don't know that yet. But if we add up number of researchers and students who belong and they're in our members, maybe we will probably add up to 100. And what do you think, Olaf? I think it's safe to say that we are probably about 100 people, which actually is quite small. But if you think about AI community, so Japanese Society for Artificial Intelligence, when I participated, when I started to join this community, I think there were only about 600 to 800. And they are now, I think, more than, I don't know, 2,000 or maybe close to even 3,000 members who actually belong to JSI.
That's right. Yeah, I think we grew quite a bit. So for the when question, ELife started more than 30 years ago. I think it was 87, right? Los Alamos.
Yes.
Something like that. So yeah, more than 30 years. And back then it was just a handful of people interested in this approach. The name of artificial life had just been decided then. We were hesitating between different names. It could have been something more bio in the name, but at the end, this grew quite a bit because of this. This community remained very creative, but also very small compared to other ones that really grew, like machine learning in general. And we are in Japan. I guess we are a few maybe around 100. I would say the same. The number of labs we belong to, though, is those are not completely ELife dedicated labs, and that's rather rare. Usually, it's a side interest framed under robotics, under machine learning, under different kinds of simulation, VR, sometimes cognitive science. Maybe the number of labs that are really doing ELife as a first flavor are also a handful, maybe 3 to 5, something like that, in all of Japan. So yeah, it's a community that has some interest, but I think we can attract much more. And the way that we are doing that is, I think, to attract a younger generation. So I think this is also one of the focuses, right?
Right, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So what else? Oh, a question about art. That's exciting. So I guess I posted the link earlier about Alter 3, and there is much more art in Japan. We have also a strong interest, and at also the international conference every year. We have a competition. I'll post the link in case people are interested to submit their art piece there. So the question was, ELife for art is very intriguing. What projects do you recommend if someone wants to know more about ELife and art? What do you think?
So I think one of the places we can go is, like I probably mentioned, Artificial Life conferences organize art sections, right? And I think the one we organized in Tokyo, ELife 2018, we also had a ELife art contest.
Yeah.
And we received number of art submissions, and we selected, I think, 10 prizes, 10 of them, and gave prizes. So looking at those probably give you an idea of what consists of artificial life. And of course, especially in Japan, Takashi Ikegami's lab are also dealing with a lot of art-related project, I think. So checking his lab homepage, or I don't know, Twitter, probably give you also, could be a good introduction point. And of course, not necessarily art, ELife, but groups like Rhizomatics are maybe, I know that from personal communication that they are also interested in ELife technologies themselves. So maybe they are, I don't know, I'm just saying, but maybe their outcomes are also inspired by ELife technologies.
Yeah. No, there is a real interaction between them. And maybe art is also the place to start crazy things that are not yet scientific, not yet far from the application. I would say I was discussing this with Takashi Ikegami recently, and we're thinking about what is art, what's the nature of art, and and I don't think it's well understood anywhere. If you have pointers, I'd be, or some books about this, I'd be curious. But in my view, we have engineering on the short term to fix things, you know, a few months to a few years to fix problems right now. We have science that tries to fix future problems, to have theories ready so that we can make, human society better. And we have art. And art, I think, is looking at much further in time, and it's looking at making the next centuries perhaps better. And maybe it can be the guide, a bit like you could argue philosophy is the extension too of what science activity is now. To kind of stretch, it's kind of a further away sensor of the scientific society. So maybe that's what cutting edge art, I guess, could mean for artificial life. It doesn't have to be disconnected, for sure. And I think ELife is really concerned in trying to attach that, connect them together. And of course, there is also feedback from in the other direction, right? There's a lot going from directly from creations, from new technologies to art. You showed this study by Alex Mortzvintsev, and that's definitely has a lot of application in artistic kind of art pieces. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think looking at just the demonstration videos of recent ELife research outcomes could be a good materials actually for thinking about art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a good pointer would be just to look at the previous conferences, the few previous years, looking at what has been submitted. This is a lot of very cool stuff. I won't even try and name them. But yeah, if you just look at the previous conferences websites, they have those references. Those are good guides. And please, anyone who is interested, please submit. This year I posted the link underneath. Okay, so next question is from Klaus. What is your favorite fiction book about ELife? What do you think, Mizuki? I have mine.
Then Olaf, please go ahead first.
Yeah, these days I usually point to Greg Egan, Permutation City. It's our common friend Nathaniel Virgo who pointed it to me quite a while back when he was postdoc in Tokyo, and there was an excellent one. I think you have all. I won't spoil anything, but you have a lot pointing to maybe cognitive science, what the mind is, what is an agent, and the physics, and really how you can get a theory of that bottom up. Really exciting book. Yeah. What do you think? Is there something?
So talking about Japanese ones, I think actually Doraemon as a comic books
good
could be actually treated as a ELife fictions. And I think, growing up reading them, actually, a lot of Japanese people have that maybe ELife concept actually already, incremented.
Yeah, I think there's something about Japanese pop culture and tech culture, including also manga and animation, but everything in art also, even music that pushes towards artificial life. Don't you think? Like it's sort of a nice kind of cradle for artificial life to expand. Maybe all this futurism, like we actually embrace robotics here in a different way than the West.
We really have the big acceptance for new technologies, and that includes robotics. And Doraemon actually acts as good interface to increase people's autonomy rather than automating everything. So they have the latest technology that but then it always tells us that it's important. What
Yeah.
important is the way we actually use it. So that's where the actually Doraemon comes in.
I like
I
that.
really
Yeah.
like that concept, and I
I
think
really
it's
like
really
that.
related to artificial life.
Yeah, I think artificial life teaches us how we can extend ourselves with technology instead of using it. And Doraemon or yeah, other characters, I think demonstrate that to children. It's amazing. I think yeah, maybe who knows? Like some of those created the ELifers of today. So yeah, maybe we have some terrain there to also. I think our education as scientists starts when we play with Legos or when we play as kids. That's when we start learning. And what more fun is there to play with than artificial life simulations? All those like things that do crazy stuff, and you can build them from everything is emergent bottom up. It's so fun to play with. I wish I had discovered that earlier in life. When you're a kid, when you're 5 years old,
Yeah,
those things are
exactly.
amazing.
Yeah. So ELife actually could be also a good programming educational tool rather than just learning and memorizing the commands. The first programming could be life game of life or things like that, or dealing with autonomous behaviors and things like that. That would be very inspiring for kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, something I took a note on this. I think that's something to work on, and if anyone wants to join a working group on that, that would be amazing. I think Mizuki, you are also very interested. In 2018, I remember you organized a session in the conference for kids to discover artificial life, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, that was a help with Hirak-san, who is a specialist in doing that. And I think he's, of course, extending that work. But we hope to be able to do that again sometime soon.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's good to nudge back into that field. Yeah. All right. So there is a question about back to engineering, I guess. So talking about engineering, recently I discovered the ELife, engineering life field. What are the differences between ELife and ELife? Good question.
So what do you know the difference? I don't think I've heard of the term ELife.
ELife, so they have their own journal, and both are kind of it's very similar. I think the only difference is that we want to create in ELife life from scratch or from the bottom up, really understand those mechanisms and are emerging from basically laws of physics. And in ELife, you want to replicate existing life. I've seen this super nice paper about replicating the behavior of an octopus with a very simple model. But I guess this is not yet all the way through. So I guess the ELife are the extremists of ELife, or the ELife are the so there is I guess there is no real separation. It's maybe different focuses slightly, but maybe they're very close.
That's great. So it seems a lot of people are more and more interested in these kind of life-related fields. I think that's a good thing for ELife too.
I like the few comments. I missed a few, but Kai is mentioning that he's heard a theory that these more positive views and interests, I'm quoting, are influenced by Shintoism. So on our previous point, on art and Doraemon, I guess. While in the West and Abrahamic religions, we have humans are superior than nature. Hence, media like the Terminator, etc. It's true. We have I guess also in Miyazaki movies, you can see that nature and humans, all characters, there is no good or bad. Like they don't present like a clear, what is it, like normative system, as opposed to really considering each point of view differently. And that would include the point of view of a robot or a machine or an emergent entity. As valuable as the human point of view, which I guess as ELifers we naturally appreciate from the angle we study those. Yeah, that's a nice point. All right. Yeah, the question from Emeric is there a consensus textbook or reference to have solid basics in ELife at the research level? Thanks a lot. Oh, excuse me. All right, yeah, this happens. So yeah, we are still doing events from home from now. And Emeric adds, I never thought about this. This is amazing stuff. Ah, yeah, yeah, good. So yeah, the question being about the textbook. What do you think? I know that you wrote or co-wrote one.
Exactly. So I think one of the reasons, I mean, this is a very good question, but also actually difficult question to answer, as the field of ELife is so large. So maybe I can propose or recommend a textbook that is related to what I'm doing in the field of ELife, but it would be very difficult to have one text that applies to everybody's interest.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I wrote the book about 2 years ago is I wanted to introduce the concept of ELife from the computer science point of view, because there wasn't much in the which, if your student asks which book to read, textbooks to read, what would you recommend, Olaf?
Well, yeah, usually, I recommend general science books up to now. And if I also teach artificial life at the University of Tokyo. I have one class where we cover a few, it very broadly. But yeah, there is one from Alan Doran that I really like, Biological Bits. Sometimes I throw this to my students as one of the possible readings. And I think that has the right level, but we don't have, I don't think there is a consensus a consensus book yet. I'm actually writing one also, I should say. But this is ongoing work, I think. We're trying to produce more materials, not only books, but also, I guess these videos are also material that we share here. Some people give classes like I do, like Mizuki does. And those slides also we try to make available on the ISAL website. I think, but yeah, like I don't have one name, unfortunately, of one book to give to people here. But it's a very good question.
Yeah.
Maybe we should work on it.
Exactly. It's an ongoing important project, I think, in any of the ELife communities. Hopefully more to come in a few years.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Talking about engineering. Oh no, I think we addressed that one, right? Yeah. Okay, so what are the actions, events, newsletter, etc., currently planned by the ELife Research Society, and how do I participate?
So the most recent one would be in June, where we will have the first ELife Japan workshop, which we are still working on what to do, but we will probably have paper submissions and some invited speakers and a panel discussion. So we will announce that on the website that we are still preparing, but that will be released in a few days. It will be ELife's slash じゃなくて barjapan.org and then of course the ELife 2021 is happening in July and it will be happening virtually, so I think it's easier for everyone to participate, and also all the videos presentation will be archived. And actually, yeah, we are planning to organize something, right? Maybe Olaf can talk about that.
Yeah, so Artificial Life, I'll post the link in a second on YouTube. But so that's an international conference happening annually. Recently, we fused together the European version and the outside version. So that's just one conference, one place a year you go to learn about what has been happening in ELife, everything, including arts, sciences, philosophy, and it's very fun conference to go to. It's definitely my favorite one. What we plan to do in Japan, because of it's going to be happening online this year again. And so usually it happens in the place, but so this year it's in Prague, but people will be joining exclusively online. And what we will offer is restreaming from Japan in Japanese human livable times, where we can also interact together. And we'll have discussion sessions in between, so that people in Japan can attend, in normal, not in the middle of the night. So stay tuned. We'll be tweeting about that, so you'll know about it. Those will be, we'll blog about that if you are following the Crosslabs blog. You'll also get the news. So that's one way of making it attendable. All right, so I guess that's one thing that there are other things that are being planned. Like, maybe, do you want to talk about the journal?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess we don't have to go through everything, but like a society local to Japan, we plan to also have a journal, and also get different information flows to you guys. Crosslabs is going to be a big actor in that. We want to participate in disseminating this kind of research, and people can obviously submit, including grad, even undergrad students are invited to submit their own contributions, and several times a year we'll gather those, and you'll be able to present them. And so we'll do one round of peer review also, so that those who get through the peer review can also be largely read in a journal. So many things going on, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so 2 more questions, and I think we'll go into discussion mode, and I'll invite everyone into a Zoom link. I will share that in a second. But Emi has a question about. He says, you mentioned a few real-life applications of ELife work over the years. In your opinion, what do you think can be the next real-life application of ELife?
That's a very tough and important question. And to be honest, we've been talking about this for many years. And if we had one, and I think ELife would be, becoming more mainstream. So that's actually one of the struggles we have. And I like to probably have two answers for this question. And the first one is related to open-endedness. So one of the big challenge in the artificial life research is to tackle the problem of open-endedness. So in the life creatures can keep evolving itself, right? And we cannot create artificially such a system yet. So if we can breakthrough what are the underlying mechanisms that brings this open-endedness is actually a big, huge thing. And a lot of researchers, cutting-edge researchers, are working on that. And another thing is, I was also thinking about what is artificial life, and the reasons why I came up with the 3 points, a concept that may be useful for a lot of people that ELife teaches at the end of my presentation today. It's because I think ELife research can be considered as also philosophy, not just technologies. And AI is, a lot of things is about technology. That's why it's very useful and there are direct applications. And ELife can be, maybe it's sometimes difficult to come up with applications. One of the reasons is because it's also, it's actually a philosophy. So it tells you like basic concept we can rely on to come up with new ideas or to have some interesting perspectives for your own work. But it does not necessarily always gives the solutions to a new thing, to the task. And that's why ELife can attract a lot of fields, because it actually also provides very interesting and new philosophy that has not existed before, or the concepts of philosophy that enables us to understand these complex systems. Everything is becoming more and more complex, these days. So the old methodologies sometimes are not applicable anymore, and there are new problems being created. And I think we need a new philosophy to tackle these issues. And one of my understanding of what is ELife is ELife gives you these methods, these tools. Yeah, so that's how I see what ELife is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's plenty of stuff. You mentioned it, and people can see it later in your slides. An impressive list of feats from ELife, really. From you mentioned GAs, Brooks, Reynolds, Dorigo's controller, the bipedal stuff. Robotic controllers, network theory, huge for many things, modeling, methods, agent-based. I can think of many things that we are developing, and in every single of those specific fields, I think there are very really prominent and major tools that we can use. Also, human-machine interfaces, or understanding of agency, illusions of agency, those kind of researches. The main one for me is also open-ended evolution. I think Kai tried to post a link, but unfortunately YouTube blocks those, so as I don't know how to. Yeah, I can post those, but I don't know which one you meant. So I guess. We are also organizing a workshop actually next week with Lisa Soros and I are organizing that at Crosslabs. So just email me in case you are interested. It's a closed workshop, but I'm happy to welcome you if you're excited about the topic. That's very promising as a challenge first, but also in the tools that are being developed right now. And that covers a bunch of very close fields connected also to AI. And I guess all the philosophy that is behind it also connects. To be fair to ELife, a lot of those very impressive results have been incubated in the ELife community and were then published somewhere else, because we are a tiny community. So especially at the times where the conference, is just a couple of hundred people, or so it was in the past. Maybe it's a bit more now. It didn't get really the attention people wanted once you get something big. So it got published somewhere else, and it keeps happening. And it makes sense, right? So you share it, you get the ideas, the nice people to share it with and to discover the idea. But then once you have it, you want it to be known in the larger community. So that sort of makes sense. And we I guess we learned to embrace it as ELifers. But that's, yeah, to be fair, there is a lot of amazing stuff that has been done. We could probably list them and make a glory list. Or a fun list in what has been accomplished. I think someone else said we should probably list researchers in Japan. It's a very good suggestion. I forget who posted that. And definitely, if people are looking for a supervisor, looking into studies, undergrad or graduate, in the field, they should be able to get that, because it's a fabulous field and that teaches you everything. You can transition easily to other things too, right? Like there's one step to AI, there's one step to cognitive science, one step to, I don't know, neuroscience. I think ELife is very, very good tool also for education. So yeah, many things again. All right, maybe one last question, and then we'll go into chatting. I'll share the Zoom link in a second. All right, so what is a good entry point? Okay, so exactly what I mentioned, I guess, for studying ELife for someone who is still in undergraduate school. What do you think, Mizuki? What's the best thing to do?
Well, it's maybe to talk to the researchers if it's all possible, or to participate to the events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because as we already discussed, a common textbook is sometimes we don't know which one is works best for you.
Yeah.
So please get in touch with us. We are a very open community and we welcome new people. And yeah, and we'll be posting all the events that we will be hosting.
Sorry about that. A technical problem happened. I think we can move to Zoom. And yeah, sorry again about this trouble. And to our viewers on YouTube, thank you so much for participating. And we'll see you in around a month for another event. It will be closer to robotics that time. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Olaf and all the people organizing it. Thank you.
Thank you.